Welcome back. I'm Calvin, Statue Fanatic, here with another episode of Collecting on a Budget, the show where I show you some really cool collectibles that you can collect and not break the bank. But before we get started, I want to point out something that I saw this week. The guys over at the collecting chat over with Cass, Cheap Ass Statue Collector, they did an episode this week that I thought was pretty cool. It's kind of why I actually started this channel. So if you get a chance to head over to the collector's chat, this episode 239, and they call it Dangerous Collecting Habits. It was one of the more interesting shows that I've seen, and one of the most insightful in terms of how the guys talked about their collecting over the years and the pitfalls that they've had. And a lot of times people ask us that have been collecting for a while, what should I collect? How should I collect? Those types of things. And I think those guys did a good job having a very open and honest conversation about this hobby and how to be responsible when you're collecting. So please head over, that's episode 239, and check those guys out. Now, let's go ahead and get started with the next episode of Collecting on a Budget. And we're going to start with Batgirl, who continues the series or the line of statues from DC core line that they've done. I've actually reviewed, I've reviewed Wonder Woman, and I've reviewed the Joker so far, and I don't think I've reviewed Batman, but I intend to. And there's also a Flash coming out, and here we have Batgirl, who also continues that line. And like always, let's just take a quick look at the box here. It looks pretty cool. There's a window box, just like all the other ones. They look identical, nothing special about it. On the back, you can see what we just talked about who sculpted the piece. It was designed by Jim Fletcher and sculpted by Sam Greenwell. And it's an 8.3 inch figure, and that's about all there is about the box. So let's get this unboxed so we can take a look at the statue. Now that we've got her out of the box, let's just take a look at the statue. I'm gonna do it once around so you can get an idea of what she kind of looks like here overall. You can see as I turn her around here, you can get a really good glimpse at the statue here. I'm gonna go a little bit slower there. Alrighty, and so as you can see, she's in the same pose as the other statues in this line. Batman, Wonder Woman, the Joker, all of those guys have 1 foot on the base, 1 foot off, or 1 foot in the air. Both feet are not touching the ground. It's kind of like a theme they've got going with this. They're all in dynamic action type poses. And her pose is no different. She's in this pose where she's about to throw the batarang. It doesn't look like she's in a fight or whatever, because when you look at her face and everything, she has a whimsical like look on her face that looks pretty cool. But we'll start with the sculptor, her portrait. And I think that's what I like about most of these, is that the portrait on a lot of these have been done really well. When I did Wonder Woman, I was really impressed with that one. And the same thing here. She has almost a realistic look. I love the way her eyes are painted. I love the way the cowl is painted around her face, all neatly done. They did a really fine detail with that. It just looks good. The teeth are sculpted really well. There's just a lot of fine detail in such a small 8-inch statue. And I'm really cool. I'm really happy that they did that this way. And then the same thing with her hair. Her hair is sculpted really well. It flows with the action that's going on. Happy about that. That came out really well. And then as you look at her, the bat symbol on her chest, that looks pretty awesome as well. It's raised and sculpted. You can see a little bit of stitching around the outside of the bat symbol as well. And then the cape, you can see the sculpting around the shoulders with the cape where it attaches on down to her belt. That we can see the utility belt sculpted well. And then when you go down to her legs, you can see the seams that are going down her legs. All that sculpted well. And then even the boots has the sculpted shoestrings on it, which looks really cool. And then around the edges of her boots, that's also sculpted really well. And as I turn it around, the cape flows really well with the action scene that's going on. That sculpt is really done well. There's this waviness to the cape that looks good. It's a little bit different than the other statue. This is kind of malleable, so it moves a little bit, and I think that's really cool, so that it doesn't break very easily. And then on the back of it here, the back of her boots, all sculpted well. The batarang, her hands, her gloves, all of it is sculpted really nicely. Now, when we talk about the paint application, I mean, it's the best part of the paint application is her portrait. painted really well. Her eyes are painted well. You can see the color in her eyes. That's painted well. The cowl on her face is painted extremely well. The line work is done well on there, and the same thing with the hair. Now, when you get to her body, I like the colors. The colors are really bright, contrasty, and that's where sometimes these things can, not look so well, because if there's mistakes, they're glaring mistakes. This one is not too bad, but there are a few mistakes. I want to point out, like a paint issue, like on her left breast. You can see where there is overpainted there, and it has this little shiny spot there. And then there are some issues here with her belt. You can see there's some bleed over there. Not anything that's really, glaring when it comes to that, but you definitely can notice it if you're looking up close. But I didn't notice it until I was looking at it through the lens and I was doing some of the close-ups. Then I could see it. But as I look at it just from a normal distance, and this is probably not a normal distance because if it's displayed, you won't see it. So as you look back from it, you can't see the flaws that I'm talking about. But when you do these close-up or these macro shots, you can definitely see some of those flaws. And then on the cape, the way it's painted, the black that goes around the cape, and on the, you can see it kind of over the yellow there. You can see some of that, the mistake there. But again, when you're standing back from it, you can't see it. I mean, if I sit just this distance away from it, it's not even that far, maybe 3 feet away from it, I can't see it. You have to get really close up to see those particular mistakes on it. One thing that I did forget to mention about the sculpt is I really love the way that these zippers are sculpted. You can see the detail in the zippers there. And then back to the paint app, you can see the black here on her legs here that are painted that look really well. The difference, the two tones there, you see the stripe coming down. Now that's done really well. I don't see any mistakes on that. Done really, really cool. Now, one of the unique things about this statue is the base. She's standing on a glittery type cell phone, which is pretty interesting. I think it fits the character. Some of you guys might think it's a little bit silly or something, I don't know. But I think it fits the character because on the screen itself, it has her persona as Oracle on there. And she's like the tech whiz and all that kind of stuff, the brains behind the scene when it comes to the whole techie part. So it kind of fits the theme to have Oracle on the screen, purple glittery cell phone. And what's interesting is this is my iPhone S, and it's about the exact same size as a real cell phone, which is pretty interesting that they did that. But I think it fits. I like it. I think it's something different, a different take on a base. So I'm happy about it. And then the home button is actually the bat symbol itself. So that's kind of cool. Other than that, I mean, it fits well with the rest of the line. Great for collecting on a budget. Great if you're a Batgirl fan. I would pick it up. But what I would do is, if you have a local comic shop and you can see multiple ones, look it over a little bit to make sure you get one that has a really good paint job on it, because I can see this tiny statue like this. It could be a hit and miss. The sculpt is really nice. The pose is really nice, but you can see how the paint application can, be a little bit off. But again, you might not care. It is a $45 statue or a $40 statue, so you're not investing a whole lot of money. You're just investing in collecting and the love of the character, so that might work for you. And that is about it for this segment of Collecting on the Budget. And if you want to stay on top of the latest in the world of collecting, please head over to mcecentral.com. That's Marvel's Collectible and Entertainments, where you can find some of the latest unboxings and reviews of some of your favorite pop culture characters. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that button so that you can be notified the next time that we upload new content. And so until next time, my friends, keep it marvelous.